Greetings, folks. Welcome back to Popcorn for Dinner. This is Jeff.
And Kelly.
This week we are doing Twilight, the OG YA movie. Unless you think it Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the OG. I don't know. But this one,
yeah, Harry Potter was a little different in that, it wasn't just kids.
Yeah, it had a bigger thing and going on, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, this podcast isn't about Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, not even close.
This week, we do have a very special guest to talk about Twilight with us.
Yes.
These folks, you, Kelly,
Mm-hmm.
and our special guest are like the two Twilight scholars that I know in terms of actually knowing anything about this beforehand. Because this morning, was the first time I've ever actually sat down and watched the movie. But
I'm so sad I wasn't here for it.
yeah, right. But that's not true for you.
Nope.
And that's not true for our special guest, Chrissy.
Hello.
Most of this is really going to come down to me just asking what the fuck to you guys and being like, what? Why? When? Why? Yep. Why did anyone ever? Why was this ever a thing? Twilight.
Yes.
I mean,
there's definitely going to be things that even we don't have answers for that we may be wondering as well.
I had a lot of questions throughout the movie, watching it probably the fifth or sixth time yesterday. I still have questions in my notes, so...
I mean, just right off the bat, I guess I got to ask, how, because you read the books too.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How faithful is this movie to the book?
Relatively. There are some little bits here and there that are different in the movie compared to how it was executed in the book. And then there's things in the book that don't show up in the movie because there's just not time. Like,
yeah, I mean,
like in the book, she has, she gets a job at a hardware store and...
Oh, man, I'm so sad we missed.
Oh, no, not a hardware store. I'm confusing that with a different book. She got a job at a camping supply store, like an outdoor recreation store.
I was going to say, Chrissy over here is like, she did?
I don't remember any of the book.
Yeah.
I was like 10, so.
Yeah. It was like with one of the kids' families owned it.
One of her friends that she never talks to and ignores the whole time?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I did.
Yeah.
And yet they all want a piece of her. I don't understand.
It was so bizarre. I was sitting there watching it and wondering, like, what is it that they want from her? Because like the whole thing with like the whole story is essentially it's like, oh, she's moving from Arizona to Forks, Oregon,
Washington,
Forks, Washington, to live with her dad instead of her mom and her boyfriend. Because he's a minor league baseball player, and they like I thought that was so silly that was included in. It's like, I don't care. It means nothing to me that he's a minor league baseball player. Why is this a part of the story? Keep it going.
And they bring it up so many times that
Seriously.
it seems important.
Yeah, it seems like it was going to come. So like maybe that baseball scene was going to have something to do. Like maybe she'll know something about something. But no, she's just it means nothing. It was pointless and a wasted time. This movie was 2 hours. It didn't need to be.
It did not. No.
So she gets to the school. She's going to Forks. She shows up right. It's the middle of the semester, so it's like, oh, everyone sees her, coming in like, oh, you're the new girl, you're whatever, and it seems like everyone immediately wants to be her friend. And not that that's like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, that's because she's the worst. It's like, she's just kind of nothing. Like she keeps ignoring everyone. Like she doesn't want to do anything. Yeah. She's constantly like they at one point they're trying to get her attention and she just like holds up her book like, I'm reading a book. I don't want to hang out right now. And that seems like what she's doing all the time is that she's always got something else to do.
Yeah.
And yet all these people become her like best and greatest friends.
Yep. And they all want to take her to prom. Like,
yeah.
You have other people. Anna Kendrick's right there.
Yeah.
Why are you going after Bella?
Yeah, it was bizarre. Like they wanted her to be a loner, but at the same time wanted her to be popular, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, like she was suddenly the popular girl.
I mean, at least with that like little clique.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't seem like the coolest kids in the school.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
I would, while we're still at the top of it, I would like to mention that the opening line of I've never given much thought to how I would die is also how the book starts.
I sort of assumed.
Yes.
I had a feeling. I was like, there's no way they start this story there unless that's where the story starts in the like source material.
Yeah, those first few opening lines were straight from the book.
Yeah, and I mean, just to get it out of the way, I'm not going to say that it's better than Divergent, but I liked the fact that it had like sort of its own self-contained story that for all intents and purposes was over by the end of it.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell where it's going later, obviously. Right at the end, Jacob does his little, like, we're going to be watching you because you're dating the vampire. So, you know, that's going on. And also just knowing who Jacob is from pop culture, knowing that he's going to be a big character later and all that. But it's like, she gets in with the Cullen family. They accept her for no reason. That I really didn't get. I was like, these vampires put their lives on the line for this girl who hung out with them twice.
Yeah.
Because Rosalie's the only one that has some sense with that.
I know.
Really.
I was totally on her side. I was like, why are they doing this?
Yeah.
Like, I get, like, it's the vampires. That whole fucking crew was so weird. Like, their introduction, like, she goes into the school, she's being introduced to all the, like, normal kids or whatever, and they all seem like relatively normal high school kids. Even if the actors are a little bit older than they probably should be, whatever.
Right.
Did you notice? Did you know, or was it just me realizing that Rosita from Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know. It took a while, but I was like, oh, hey, look at that.
See, when I started watching Walking Dead and she came in, I was like, oh, she was in Twilight.
Okay.
That was so I knew going in that is like, yeah, we're gonna see some Rosita, some young Rosita.
Yeah. Because this came out before that show even started.
Oh,
holy shit! Yeah, this was 2008. That show started in 2010, and she was seasons in too. So
she was also in
Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide.
That was it. Yep.
So she gets introduced to all the other kids. There's also the stuff with her dad, which is probably both some of my favorite and least favorite stuff in the movie. Where it's like there's a lot of like stupid. Like the whole like, oh, he's got a gun and now we're gonna introduce you to the boyfriend and he's the tough gun-toting cop dad.
Well, bring him in.
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of stuff was like eye roll. But I did love the one moment because she's so awkward. This whole movie, unbelievably awkward, far beyond just the like relate to a normal girl level of awkward. The kind of awkward where it's just like no one would ever talk to this person ever. Yeah. There's the one scene where she's like in the kitchen talking to him about something and she goes like, well, and then just like leaves the room without finishing her sentence, and he just goes like, okay.
Yeah.
And that was brilliant. Like the fact that someone finally comments on the fact that it's like she just keeps just speaking in sentence fragments and wandering out of rooms.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. They do the whole dad doesn't know what the kid likes bits, like you like purple, right? And this and whatever. And she gets the truck, which
I'd be okay with that truck.
It was a fine truck.
Yeah. I like goofy colored cars, so
I wasn't on board, but
I mean, that's all right. You might be a little more practical.
Yeah.
Whereas here, I'm like, I could haul so much scrap wood with that.
And then she's in school being awkward. There's the volleyball scene. I just wrote Bella is bad at sports.
Yep.
Because she's clearly terrible in sports.
Yeah, she doesn't know how to even just bump a
even
volleyball.
just interact with a volleyball like a human does.
It's like, and she's a junior, so she's 16, 17 at this time.
That is absurd.
She's been in gym before.
Yeah, like...
I get not liking sports.
And you come from a sunny state.
Yeah, like, you're probably playing volleyball a lot.
Yeah. I will say I did really enjoy the fact, I don't remember Anna Kendrick's character... Jessica, she made the comment of, aren't people from Arizona supposed to be really tan? And I was thinking the exact same thing. And I was like, all right, there it is.
I mean, that is something to be talked about with this movie is like the color tone and the way that everybody looks like a corpse.
Yep. It's very blue toned. I wrote that down too.
Like, I get why the vampires would look that way, why you would make Edward and all the Cullens look really washed out and just like white and pale. But it's everyone. And again, I get it. Washington, not a lot of light, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be pale, whatever. But like not full on like fish skin white is weird. And then finally, the Cullens are introduced. And I will tell you... I know you have several of those in your notes.
6 of them.
6 of them.
That was the first one.
So, I mean, obviously you guys having been living with these movies for a while, I'm sure the first impressions are much different. Like when they first come in, you're like, oh, here are those guys. But to me, I'm just like, how does
How did they get away with it?
How? They're so unbelievably weird in every single way. Like, they are the creepiest looking, weirdest acting, strangely dressed, fucking just what? Why do they go to school? I don't get it. Later, they show all that big giant
the graduation caps.
Yeah, all the graduation caps and how it's like an inside joke or whatever that they go to school all the time. Like, why?
They matriculate a lot.
Yeah, they matriculate a lot. Why? Why do they do that? All you're going to do is get yourself caught. All you're doing is exposing yourself to the world and leaving weird like breadcrumbs for people to follow to be like, there's something fucked up with these people.
Yeah.
Like every single day that it's sunny out,
they're gone.
Dr. Cullen takes all of his kids who all look the same age as him and go out hiking in the woods or whatever. Like, it's like, why even bother going to school if you're gonna have to cover up who you are when the sun comes out and all that? Like, what if all of a sudden it's sunny in the middle of the day and you didn't know about it?
Yeah.
All the Cullens go home sick at once.
Oh man.
It's so like, it doesn't make any sense. The only reason that he's there is so that he can meet Bella. Like, why couldn't they just have him and her meet somewhere
at that camping job that she didn't get in this movie?
Yeah. Just like doing anything else. The only reason that he's in high school is so that they can meet in high school and have like a high school love affair.
Yeah.
Even though he's a 100-year-old vampire or whatever.
Yeah. I think 104.
I think he said it was like a 1918 or something that he was
The Spanish flu.
bitten by bitten by Carlisle and whatever. And also, I had no idea that was their thing. Like, anytime I would see any of these things, like if you guys were watching one of these movies or something at a point in time, I was just like, all right, here's the vampire family. I thought they were just a family. I had no idea that it was like this crazy asshole Carlisle just fucking bites people when they're about to die to turn them.
Only 3 of them.
What do you mean?
He only bit 3 of them.
How many are there? There's what, 4 of them?
5.
Okay, what? So it was him and his wife probably were already vampires?
No. He bit
Edward first.
Yeah, Edward first, and then
Esme after.
And then Rosalie. He also bit. They don't talk about that in this movie.
Oh,
but
I was like, what the fuck did I miss?
Just for your reference.
Okay.
And then so it's 3 that he doesn't, because he doesn't bite Alice, Jasper, or Emmett.
Right.
Okay. Either way. So what are they then? Are they his actual children?
No, they're a clan.
Oh, god damn it.
Okay. Now I have more questions now too. Where do they come into play?
They don't cover it in the movies as much as they do in the books. Alice and Jasper like find each other and then meet up with the Cullens and decide to join their clan. They like how they work.
Yeah, because I mean, how they work is kind of a big like what the movie hinges on. It's like, so there's vampires in this world, and vampires will eat the shit out of people and drink all their blood to gain their power and whatever.
Yeah.
But these vampires are quote unquote vegetarians. I fucking hated that so much. It's so stupid. You couldn't find a better way to do it, because the literal line, where is it? God damn it. There's so many notes. I can never find what I'm looking for. Okay. We think of ourselves as vegetarians, only surviving on the blood of animals.
Yep.
I was like, that's a real line in a movie that people wrote, and we're like, this will make sense.
The book.
I'm assuming a lot of these.
The book is to blame for a lot of the problems.
I was going to say, I'm assuming a lot of these stupid lines are in the book. Like, I was designed to kill. I don't care. It's like, yeah, Bella, you should really care, you fucking stupid idiot. He's literally telling you that the smell of you is making him like insatiably hungry to fucking feast on you.
Yeah.
And you're like, but we're in love. It's like, no, you're not.
You've known him a day.
One of our favorite lines, at least what I thought was one of our favorite lines watching this yesterday, was, "You're like my own personal brand of heroin."
Oh, Jesus. I didn't even write that line down because I was like, I bet you did.
We both did.
Oh, or your well, sorry, I wrote the line before it. Your scent is like a drug to me. Because I was like, boom, right there, Bella. He does not love you.
Yeah.
The reason that he acts all weird around you and looks like he's coming in his pants all the time. Oh my God. That scene when they first meet in the biology scene. Holy shit. but not just from him though. They are both
so unbelievably awkward.
Are both. I wrote it profoundly awkward. Like it is beyond comprehension how they're acting like no one else in the room could possibly see them. And it's like, guys, keep it in your fucking pants.
Yeah.
It's so creepily like, oh my God, like your teacher's right there. You freaks. Chill out. Holy shit.
There are so many times in this movie that the only note I wrote down was, wow, there's a lot of staring. It's constant staring.
And mouth breathing.
Scary staring, too. Not even just like, ooh, hey, baby. It's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
One of my favorite bits in it when she comes into the first biology class and he's losing his mind and he can't control himself and he's just like, oh, my God. And he's getting all creepy about it. And doesn't he like bail right away? He basically just leaves the classroom.
A second before the bell rings.
Yeah, he gets up and leaves and whatever. And she like pulls her hair and smells it. And I'm like, does she really think that she just stinks?
I called her Smella in my notes.
Exactly. It was so weird that like she thought that like, is it because I smell?
Yeah.
Is that it?
Because he's sitting there like covering his nose and like looking disgusted.
Visibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It really like I get that the move of his hand to his nose was supposed to be more of a like smell thing. You know, it's like, oh, I can smell the human blood and I really want it and all that. It really looked more like holding back barf to me. Like, oh. I was like, this is their meet cute? This is how these two get together, is because they walk into a room, look creepy at each other. Oh my God. I couldn't believe, I was like, towards the end of the movie, I wrote down something that encompasses like everything about this movie, but how it's like, this is literally the opposite of romantic. Everything in it, no part of it feels actually romantic at all, except for the part when God, it starts so creepy too. When he sneaks into her bedroom and lets her know that he's been watching her for months.
Yeah.
Like a gentleman.
I believe my note at that time was creep.
Yeah. So he tells her that he's been sneaking into her bedroom for months and watching her sleep and that he likes to do that, which is just like horrifying. And then they start making out and then she's like, oh, we want to do that. He flies off of her. Did he do that?
Yeah, he like pushed himself away from her.
Okay, because he looked surprised, and I was like, she didn't do that, right?
Yeah, no, she didn't.
Okay,
she's not that strong yet.
Yeah, and then they're like, okay, well, let's sit down and let's just like talk for the night, you know? And they're just sitting there. And then they just do a montage. Like, you don't hear any of it. You don't hear any of their conversations with each other where they're actually talking like human beings to each other instead of being fucking creeps and calling her a spider monkey and shit like that. Like, all of that weird stuff is the stuff we get to hear. And then the one scene where it looks like they're acting normal, they're like, no, get past this part. Like, no, that's the one interesting part.
I would like to say the spider monkey line was not in the books.
Whoever is to blame for that needs to go to movie jail.
Yep.
Because that's just, like, how could you? That must be the one take where Robert Pattinson didn't go like, "Are we really doing this?"
Yeah.
He barely gets through the line. Like, hold on tight, little. Hold on. And they finally got one of him doing it, and then they're like, "All right, we'll use that in the movie."
Well, then
fucking weird.
In the baseball scene, Rosalie calls Emmett her little monkey man.
Oh yeah.
What is the obsession?
That also was not in the books.
Vampires love monkeys.
Apparently.
Screenwriter was like, I'm going to put my stamp on this story. Tons of monkey references. That's what I'm known for.
Real quick, back to so just after biology or at the end of the day or whatever.
Yeah.
Bella goes to the office, whatever office it is. And Edward's there, like, clearly trying to get out of biology. And then just the line he says when he's told that he has to stay in it, he, like, looks at Bella and just says, I'll just have to endure it.
It. You are not even a she, you are an it. Yeah, it's fucking creepy, man. Is there any point in the book, or maybe something that I just missed or whatever in this movie, like, what is truly like the moment where either of them actually falls in love with the other? Because it's clear at the beginning that he's just all like, I'm fucking insatiably hungry for your blood.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really all it is. And then she thinks that he hates her.
Mm-hmm.
And then he saves her from the van. Is that when that happens?
Yes.
The van
That hit
skid,
like
it
black
like almost
ice or
hits
whatever.
it almost hits a car that's pulling out of the spot,
Mm-hmm.
and then it hits the ice and like fishtails towards her.
Mm-hmm.
How did nobody see him do that?
No
Because
one
I
knows.
thought that was obvious. I thought that was like going to be a thing. Like, oh, he's not going to be able to go back to school anymore.
Yeah.
Because people are going to be like, what the fuck was up with the Cullens and all that? I
You
thought that
should
was
run
maybe
track.
you should fucking lift, dude. But like, imagine him as like a blocker in football. It'd be amazing.
Ooh, yeah.
Seriously.
Why go to high school? Why not go like play sports if you're that amazing at it?
I mean,
Stupid.
Yeah, you would just. I guess you would just have to show up for like
Just like pull your punches, you know? Because they show the baseball scene and it's like, we have to play during thunderstorms because the cracks of our bat
Yeah.
against the ball are so loud. We can only do it under the guise of a thunderstorm.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, for one, are those super duper reinforced baseball bats and balls that don't explode when they hit them?
Apparently.
Because that would totally happen. But also, it's like, just pull your fucking punches. Just like let up a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to play ridiculous vampire baseball? Is that the only way you get like any enjoyment out of it? You can't just go to the park and play a regular old game?
Go
Stu-
play
like-
some t-ball.
Yeah, it's like it's
Wiffle ball.
like, apparently they enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like they talk about it, like, hey, it's America's pastime. It's great, fun stuff. It's like, then just do it like normal people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not like psychos.
Yeah.
So he
Who
saves her. He saves her from it, and then the entire school comes over to check on her to see if she's okay.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause she-
They just then noticed.
but then later when she like confronts him about it, because it's like, oh my god, he stopped this van and he was all the way across the parking lot at the time. I couldn't believe that the parking lot thing was what she got hung up on. She was like, how did you get over to me so fast? It's
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't give a shit about that part.
Yeah.
I would wonder how you stopped a van with your hand. And then she finally like casually says that, like, you stopped that car with your hand. It's like, that would be what I would be concerned about immediately.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yep.
hands of steel, eh? I don't care about your feet. I don't care about how fast you got over here. Which, Jesus Christ, those effects for the vampires going fast, that is the worst.
Yep.
Yeah.
Full on worst.
Yep. And it doesn't get better.
I've seen enough bits and pieces to know that it's just the same shit. Like him, God, this fucking movie. Him putting her on his back and running to the top of the hill to like show her
his
sparkliness
Mm-hmm.
was the most absurd looking thing I think I may have ever seen in my life. And I cannot believe for a second that anybody really thought it was cool. Like anybody involved with it. Your mood swings are giving me whiplash.
Yep.
That I just wrote barf. God. And then the next line, he says something. She says that, and then he says something to her like, you wouldn't understand or whatever, or like, you know, blah blah blah. And her answer was, let's say for argument's sake that I'm not smart.
Yeah.
And I wrote, well, I don't know,
Because
we
he
gotta
said,
assume.
if you were smart, you'd stay away from me.
Oh yeah.
Is this during the apple scene?
It
where
is.
he
Yeah.
Yes.
so suavely catches an apple?
To create the book
Ugh.
cover. Yep.
God.
And then
Yes.
his line of, what if I'm the bad guy? Like, God damn it, movie.
Yep.
I wrote, you couldn't think of the word villain. Been around for 104 years.
Yeah. Oh my God. That too. She mentions at one point that like, and you talk like someone from a different time. And I'm like, does he?
No.
He doesn't. He sounds like a
Yeah.
normal, like maybe he doesn't talk like a 17-year-old, but he doesn't sound like somebody from 1918.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? And then, I mean, they introduced Jacob earlier in the movie because he's like the son or nephew of
He's the son
the son of one of
Billy Black.
yeah. So he's been in the movie a little bit, but then he gives that big old story that like, well, legend says, and then clearly is just giving the real history of
Yeah.
the vampires and the werewolves and all that kind of stuff. I was like, this is really, really obvious movie. Like at that point, I could not believe that she had not put it together yet.
Right.
You know, Like, I realized, I was like, we are fucking halfway through this movie and we have not confirmed that he is a vampire yet. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
She is slow.
Yeah.
And it
Like-
still takes more time after.
Yeah.
It wasn't until she like saw the dead body that she like put it all together.
Which
Yeah.
made
Which-
no sense.
Poor Waylon.
You had to see his feet, and then you go, oh, you know what? Edward's a vampire. Like, some dead guy's feet? That's what does it for you. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I kind of enjoyed the concept of the bad guy vampires. Like the fact that there were like little sort of slasher movie scenes
Yeah.
interspersed throughout the story, so you know that there's like something else going on, like some more evil vampire going on. I wish they weren't all such dweebs.
Yeah.
Like the scene where they kill Waylon or whatever.
Yeah.
They're all such fucking dweebs. And the whole like, oh, James, don't play with your food. And I was like, I hate these vampires so much. I wish, like, just shut up and be scary. Like, if the Cullens are going to be dorks and they're going to look like dweebs and live in a ridiculous house for vampires.
I love that house.
I'm going to get to it in a second. Like, it's a great house, ridiculous for vampires. But like, if they're going to be sort of like cheery, friendly vampires, then the fucking other vampires that are the bad guys should be fucking scary. Even like PG-13 movie scary. I'm not talking about like Blade or something where like their mouths come apart and they swallow people whole or something. But just like have a little gravitas. Don't be such fucking like art school kids. Like, oh yeah, we're so scary.
All vampires are nerds. That's all I learned from this movie.
Yeah, really. But yeah, late when she goes to the Cullens' house, because it's like eventually they become boyfriend and girlfriend, and he wants it's the classic meeting of the parents sort of thing, where it's like, I'm gonna have you meet my family. She's like, oh, wonder if they'll like me, and he's like, you're going to a house full of vampires, and you're scared if they're gonna like you or not. And they get to the fucking house, and it's nothing but bay windows everywhere.
Floor to ceiling.
Yeah, floor
Love
to
it.
fucking ceiling for vampires.
Well,
And then-
because the sun doesn't kill them, it just makes them sparkle, so it doesn't matter.
Still, well, the problem, the thing that fucking killed me is that she goes to visit them and she comes in and she's like, oh, this is a pretty bright, house for vampires. And what was it, Esme? The one who like hated her or whatever?
That's Rosalie that hates
Rosalie, whatever. The one who hates her, I think, is the one who says this, but she says, what did you expect? Coffins and dungeons? And I wrote, yes! You're vampires! This is ridiculous that you just live in this beautiful cabin in the woods.
Yeah.
Like, nothing. Like, the only thing vampiric about these people is that they apparently have to eat blood, except they don't, because they'll just eat animal blood instead of people blood. So it's like, you are barely vampires. You are faux vampires. You are the fucking, like, great value vampires. Like, they're so stupid. I don't like them. I don't understand why anybody finds them interesting as like a set of characters. Like, are we supposed to like the whole crew? Is it supposed to be like, wow, look at Edward and his cool family? Or are they supposed to all seem kind of dumb and it's supposed to be like, oh, it's really more about Edward and Bella?
I mean,
I'm going to go back to like when I was 10, we first saw these movies, and I loved their family back in the day.
yeah.
Like, Esme and Carlisle are like the coolest parents, making the food for Bella. Alice and Jasper I always thought were really cool. I'd never liked Rosalie.
Yeah.
She's the one with any common sense. But...
Rosalie was always the one, like, if you're, pro Bella in these movies and you hate Rosalie because she's a stuck-up bitch that doesn't like Bella, like, right off the bat. And it's like, no, all of her reasons for hatred are pretty valid.
Yeah. Now watching, I'm like, all right, you know what? You got a point.
Yeah.
Also, when they're explaining their whole thing, and oh, we're vegetarian vampires, we don't eat people, we just eat animals, blah blah blah, and Edward keeps making like off the cuff jokes to Bella about like, oh, maybe I'll eat your blood or something. And it's like, that is so uncomfortable. Like, don't joke about that.
Bella, there are so many red flags
Seriously,
and you are blind.
The reddest of flags. It's insane. Like, at no point in this did I feel any sort of like actual romantic connection between the two of them. It really just felt like she loves him and he's like, cool,
You smell good.
Yeah, you smell real good. I'll keep you around so that I get off on it all the time.
Yeah.
But love? I don't know about that. And the whole fucking, I mean, the whole end of the movie is like, I guess it's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be kind of like showing Edward's devotion to her by fighting off that other evil vampire. Because, okay, let me just real quick, just because I didn't understand it and I don't know if I missed something or not. So the Cullens play that baseball game because really the whole plot of the movie so far is just like them falling in love, her meeting the Cullens, them tentatively accepting her for the most part. Like, well, we won't eat you. You know, so it's like, okay, that's
5.
Yeah, that seems pretty good. And then they all decide to go play a game of vampire baseball to the sick tunes of Muse.
I completely forgot that song was in there until it started playing, and I was like, oh my god.
And so they have their whole big fucking baseball game, which they can only play during thunderstorms because the cracks of their bats are so powerful. People would mistake it for thunder, apparently. Bella is designated the umpire, which I thought was so funny. Just because of the fact that, like, I knew that scene existed, but I thought, like, she played. I thought there was some form of her being, like, a part of it. And then when she gets there, they're just like, we need an ump. Bam, plop the hat on her.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, go fucking make the calls.
We saw you in that volleyball game.
Yeah, right. It's like, we know that you're terrible. Well, because fucking her dad, even when he goes to take her, he's like, Bella's going to play baseball? Good luck.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so she's terrible. They know this. They make her the umpire. That first play that she calls where Rosalie is like thrown out by a mile. And then Bella calls it like, you're out. And she fucking mean mugs the shit out of her like, you. And it's like, you were out.
Yeah.
You were so out. This isn't even close. Like, oh, it could have gone either. It's like, no, you were out by a mile. Chill out.
Esme did say they cheat, so.
Yeah. Okay, so all that shit is happening. And then these 3 murder vampires show up who've been actually murdering people and eating people and being vampires.
The mismatch gang.
Yeah. And they roll up and they're like, oh, sorry, we didn't realize that this territory was taken. And they're like, yeah, well, you're causing a lot of trouble for us, so maybe skedaddle. And they're like, okay, fine. It seems like everything was cool. They were just going to bail. And then James smells Bella as like a real human. What the fuck happened? Because like he smells her. I get that. And he like, he wants her. And Edward like jumps in to defend, like, hey, whoa, don't fuck with her. Don't eat her. She's a not eaten one. And then he just like makes it his life's mission to devour her then? Like he can't not eat her? Because he goes berserk and he tracks her down and he fucking traps her later and he makes her think that her mom is going to die. He goes to all this trouble. Like just because you smelled her once, she's that enticing of a smell?
I think Edward said something to her about like, I read his thoughts and because of my reaction, it set him off and now you're his most dangerous game or something like that.
Yeah,
something
we're gonna
ridiculous.
It'll be the most exciting hunt.
The exciting hunt, not the most dangerous game. Jesus Christ.
Which also fucking completely forgot to mention. Yeah, and also Edward could just read minds, except for Bella's, because she's special. Which is just like, why? Why even bother then? If he can't read her mind, it doesn't, whatever.
It drives him nuts.
Yeah.
He wants to know what she's thinking because he's an obsessive.
Do they explain that later, why he can't read her mind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like she is special?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's magic? Why? What is it? I need to know.
You have to watch all the movies.
Never.
She is a shield. That is her like ability.
Is that like a beard?
No, it's that she like any offensive attacks, like any offensive abilities don't affect her.
Okay.
It's just
except
like,
for getting bit apparently, because that was fucking killing her at the end there.
Well,
yeah. It's like they're later on you meet the Volturi.
I sort of assumed, because since I knew that there was some rival vampire faction that comes up later that they're like fighting against, I assumed that these bad guys were a part of that.
No.
Oh, they don't lead to that
they're
later?
just wandering. Victoria does come back later.
I thought, well, isn't she right at the end?
Yeah.
Isn't she the one who's watching them?
Yes.
And I was like, what the fuck
In
is this?
black
And then
and white.
yeah, and then the credits start going, and I'm like, she's right there. How are you ending right now, movie?
She
Yeah.
crashed the prom.
Yeah, that's weird, but
That's,
okay.
That's the
so-
cliffhanger to get you to watch the next one to see what happens with Victoria.
Bum, bum,
Okay.
bum.
I get it.
Which Victoria then becomes Bryce Dallas Howard.
Hysterical.
Right? Great.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Victoria and Laurent and Jasper were just Laurent.
Jasper. You mean James?
James.
Yeah.
not
Okay.
Jasper.
Because now
Sorry.
I was getting, I was like,
Yeah.
I barely remember these names. I need to keep them straight.
Yeah. No. So Victoria and James are mates.
Okay.
That's what vampire couples are called. They're mates.
Okay.
Gross.
Yeah, it's dumb. And so Victoria, like knowing that the Cullens are responsible for the death of her mate, is furious and
Okay.
is going to seek revenge. She is separate from the Volturi, but the Volturi are not very big fans of the Cullen clan.
Yeah, I mean, I figured there had to be
They
some
don't.
sort of.
It's a like they don't like their lifestyle sort of thing. They don't like that they're vegetarians, whatever,
I mean,
and like openly live among people. Like they don't. They're not about that life.
okay.
So they just let Victoria do her thing, essentially.
Okay.
They don't.
They sound like my kind of vampires.
You would probably like them.
More so
They're,
just in
you
the
know,
sense that it's like all the dumb like questions and things I have about the Cullens, it seems like they're on that side too. It's like, what the fuck are you idiots doing? Why are you living out in the world? Why aren't you eating people like you're supposed to be? The hell is wrong with you? Why aren't you being vampires?
Yeah,
You idiots.
They're like the top vampires too. And
Yeah, they're like
America's next top vampire.
no,
Italy?
they're
Italy's next top vampire.
yeah, Italy. Yeah, they're. Is it Rome? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Hey
But-
man, win in Rome.
Maybe Venice.
So these fucking vampires show up to the baseball game. James wants to eat the shit out of Bella.
As they all do.
Yeah. Which, sorry, real quick to jump back. When they first introduce Jesper is his name? Jasper. And they're like, he's the newest vegetarian, so he has a harder time. And he just walks in like, he's the creepiest look on his face. Where it's like, you can clearly tell that this guy just like really wants to fucking eat her right now. And just like, and to like shove that down. Like, it's different than like if you're like at a nice party and you don't want to like be crass, you know? So it's like, so you kind of watch your language and you don't grab your hands into the pile of like, you know, cocktail weenies or whatever. Like, oh, so, you know, oh, you got to hold yourself back. But it's like murdering a person. And to be like, I know normally I would murder you, but good day, Bella.
I'm
Like,
a vegetarian now.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I mean, they do mention it when they're all introduced at the beginning, and Jessica's saying like the one that looks like he's always in pain.
Oh, yeah. Because he just
Because
wants
it
to
is
eat
like they describe it as like an actual like physical
like
ache.
hunger pains.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, again, then, why would, like, until he's broken of that, don't let him go to school.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. Why is he enrolled at Forest
Yeah.
High?
Like,
Yeah.
that seems like something you need to get, like, hammered out
Yeah.
before you can send him out into the world and be like,
Yep.
he'll probably be fine. It's like literally surrounded by food. And to just be like, I will be good. I will be good.
Yeah.
I can't be good.
One of the only things that I feel like they mention of stopping him, quote unquote, is Alice going, "Don't worry, Jasper, you won't eat her.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
not going to stop him. He's
Yeah,
hungry."
you won't hurt her.
She
Yeah.
just tells him, like, oh, thanks.
Well, because
I guess I
Alice knows
won't.
the future.
Right, but
The future can change.
conditionally, she
Yes.
knows the future.
Yes.
Either way, all of this is just about the fact that the end of the movie is James like hunting Bella down, tricking her to go to a certain place by making her think that he kidnapped her mother. And then the whole like, oh my God, what a beautiful ending. Like, oh, the love that Edward must feel to come and kill this guy, you know, fight him off and kill James, the bad vampire. The whole sequence is essentially Edward coming to save her from the guy who is only after her because Edward was stupid enough to bring her with to vampire baseball. So it's not really a love thing as much as it's like he probably just feels a little guilty.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now this guy's going to fucking hunt you down and eat you and your family. all because I just wanted you to come and umpire our baseball game.
Yeah. Wanted you to hang out with my vampire family.
I want to really quickly bring up the ballet studio. Bum, bum, bum.
Yes.
Because one, they shattered so much glass. I wrote down, who's going to repay that ballet studio? They are
Seriously.
out of business for so long.
Especially because they try to like gaslight her mom, you know, at the end there, because she's talking about it's like, oh my God, Bella, you fell down several flights of stairs and fell out a window.
How
fell down
clumsy are you?
Yeah,
exactly.
Two sets of stairs, or 2 flights of stairs, and then out a window.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh, you're so clumsy and all that. And it's like, so that's what she believes. I assume that's what they told the authorities? Because if she's in a hospital, then they brought her there and they would be like, oh my God, what happened to her?
Yeah.
So someone would have to explain it. So how do you explain the fact that half of it is burned down as well? Like, so much stuff happened in there that it's like, so you fell down the stairs, somehow crashed through the entire floor, pushing up floorboards everywhere. All the glass is broken.
No, they said at the hotel. So I'm wondering if someone went and like broke a hotel window, because they said that she fell down the stairs at the hotel. I'm assuming they just burned down the ballet studio.
They're just like, sorry, folks who own this, but we can't be found out.
I hope the insurance money is enough to get you by.
Yeah, really. But that whole thing, like I said earlier, I kind of liked the fact that it was like it set up a bad guy who was then finished off in this movie, and it wasn't like other than whatever the fuck her name was, Victoria. Yeah. Other than her still being around, it was like the threat to Bella was finished, and they can just sort of live, and hey, everything's kind of cool, and it didn't feel so much like they were shoving off all this other stuff to the next movie for you to be like, oh, I have
you,
to.
Maze Runner.
Yeah, I'm looking straight at you.
Yeah, they did. I mean, the book was the same way. Like, that's the end of the story, at least for that part of their lives. Like it ended essentially with the same lines the way the movie ended, with them talking about and you know, no one will concede tonight, but but I'm not giving in.
I know what I want.
Yeah, I thought that
like 16, 17, like,
you are
chill
a high
out.
schooler.
Yeah,
chill out.
I love the fact that one, they get to prom and leave within like 2 minutes. They show up and then they see all their friends and they're like, hey, and then they bail.
Well, they go out. They go out to the back.
Dance.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, they're like, do you want to leave? And they're like, yeah, let's go. So they're barely even at prom. They get all dressed up for it and they're fucking barely there. But her wanting to be turned into a vampire to live with him like for eternity is such peak delusional high school girl who believes that her and her boyfriend will be together forever.
Yep. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But in this movie, it's supposed to be romantic and not delusional.
Yeah.
You've known each other for a month. You need to chill.
Yeah, really. And the fact that she's completely willing to get bitten by him feels so much like a fucking like a pregnancy allegory. You know what I mean? Like, at least to me, it sort of felt that way, where it's like, go ahead, do it, and we'll be together forever then. Just kind of in that, like, and it was just made me uncomfortable. I was like, Bella, be yourself for a while. Don't just be like, oh my God, this vampire loves me, I will be a vampire. It's like if you like hook up with someone and it's like, oh, they're a punk, I'll be a punk with them. And it's like, yeah, what happens when you break up and you don't want to be a punk anymore, but you're a punk forever because he bit you and turned you into a punk? Like, it's so fucking weird, and it's a terrible message.
Yeah.
And it really boggled my mind. I was like, I knew that there was all those jokes online for years and years about like, everything is a better love story than Twilight.
Now you get it.
Yeah,
you get it.
It is full on terrifying. Like, it's terrifying that there were girls out there who wanted that. And as soon as I saw Jacob, and he was in even just like the couple of scenes and everything, and I was like, oh my, look at this guy treating her like a person and acting like a friend
with respect.
Yeah, how I thought to myself, I'm like, how in the fuck was anybody Team Edward back in that time when it was like, oh, who to be? It's like, Jacob. 1,000 times Jacob. He's clear, like, maybe he's not the greatest. I don't know what the fuck happens later and how he deals with things or whatever.
He's pretty sweet the whole time.
He seems like a really nice person. Yeah, dude. I by the end of it, I just could not stop calling her an idiot. Like, and I felt a little bad about it as well. Like, I didn't want to be too harsh or whatever. But at the end, when, you know, after she got bit and then he like sucked the venom out and then almost killed her in the process. And afterwards, he's like, look, you should go to Jacksonville with your mom, be far away from here. Yeah. I mean, after going through all of that, like having a fucking vampire be like, by the way, it is now my life's mission to fucking eat you. And I will stop at nothing. I will murder your entire family to fucking eat you. And like, yeah, that's a moment where you rethink your fucking relationship with this guy. We're being like, let's see, being with Edward, me and my entire family being murdered by vampires. Because it can just happen out of nowhere, apparently. Yeah. Like I can just sniff you and be like, well, everyone you know is dead. Yeah, exactly. So when he said that, I was just like, he's right, Bella. Go to Jacksonville, you fucking idiot. You're going to get murdered by vampires if you stay here. And obviously she's not going to get murdered by vampires. She's just going to fall in love with vampires.
Yes.
But yeah, by the end of it, I could not understand. Sorry, just Bella, you are my life now is the line I wrote in there.
I wrote that too.
I just wrote, why?
Because she smells good.
That's really all it seems to be. Yeah, there's never, like I said earlier, it's like there's never a moment where you really like feel these two actually falling in love.
Yeah.
They just hang around each other and stare at each other all day.
There was a little bit more dialogue in the book, but it's a book, so
yeah. I did read one little thing from like online trivia for the thing about like things they changed between the book and the movie. And apparently the sequence where she learns that he's a vampire happened like in his car. Is where she like is where he says like, you know, like say it, tell me what I am, and then she says you're a vampire. And in my head I'm like, well, that makes a little bit more sense than just wandering off into the woods. Yeah, apparently just hoping that he was going to follow her. Yeah, to then confront him about it. And it's like, why would you isolate yourself to confront this vampire on if he's a vampire? Like, how do you know that that's not going to be the thing that's going to be like, oh God, you figured it out? Well, I have to kill you. Yeah. I can't let anybody know. Oh, Bella. Oh, this is going to suck for you. It's going to be great for me. It's going to be delicious. But, you know, like if it's in his car, if they're like in a conversation or if they're already like kind of in the middle of something, but to be like, I think it's about time to confront him about him being a vampire. Yeah. Let's go wander off into the wilderness.
Let's go cut class and hang out in the mountains.
Yeah.
They do that so much more than I thought they did too. I wrote that down of they just cut class and go hang out in the mountains all the time now.
Yeah. That's apparently okay.
Biology.
Yeah. Who needs school when you could just be a vampire forever? Yeah. Knowing where the story goes to a certain extent, like obviously I've seen that ending bit of Breaking Dawn or no. Yeah.
Part 2.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The whole end of the saga. So I know it's like they have a kid and she's a halvesy, right? Yeah. She's like, she's sort of human, but kind of vampire or whatever. Yeah. So like they have a kid and all that shit and they live basically happier ever after? Happily. I was like, happier. That's not right. Happily ever after, you know, and all that. And based on this movie, I'm like, I don't see how you get there in any sort of like acceptable way other than like, so she's clearly being like brainwashed or something, right? That has to be it because there's no reason to look at this guy at any point in time other than like, oh, dang, he's cute. Like other than that, there's no way to look at him and be like, that's someone I'd like to spend time with. He's so creepy. He's so awkward. Yeah. It's just unfathomable that this is like was inspiring to anybody of like what a love story. Yeah. I want to find my Edward. Like yeesh.
You want to find your future murderer?
Holy Christ. The guy who's fucking you're gonna be found in his trunk in 8 pieces. Oh my God.
Oh man.
One last like specific thing that made me laugh while I was watching this movie, just because of how like absurd it seemed to me, was the fact that like so Edward fights James at the end, and he like he incapacitates him to a certain point, and then Jasper and Emmett show up, right?
Yes.
And they like kind of take him, and they're gonna tear him into pieces and burn the pieces so that he's totally dead. And like, I thought they were gonna like go do that outside or go do that somewhere else, but they just start right in the middle of the fucking ballet studio, like tearing up wood, throwing it into a bonfire, ripping him to shreds, throwing him in there, and it's all happening in the background of the scene while Bella and Edward and all them are doing other stuff. So it's just like, oh yeah, and those guys are back there. Don't forget, like, that's horrifying. That's what we should be focusing on.
Especially because she's in the middle of dying of that vampire bite and watching it just like, oh my God, they're ripping him apart. You are a human being. How is this not scaring you away from this family for the rest of your life?
Also, it really looked like Emmett and Jasper were having a lot of fun back there.
Oh, they probably were.
They're just like,
I'm sure Alice loved ripping that guy's head off.
We haven't torn people to pieces in ages. This is the best.
Vegetarians.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. What a fucking movie though, man. I will say, I will put this one on the enjoyability level above Divergent, only because it actually made me laugh. You know what I mean? Unintentionally and not in the way they wanted it to. But Divergent just bored the fuck out of me. And to the point where I was just like, I'm done. I'm so done with this. This movie, I was like, how could it possibly get any more ridiculous? And it just kept going. It just kept going. Oh my gosh.
That's why I was so excited for you to finally see this movie, because I knew how ridiculous. Like, I have seen all of the Twilight movies more than I really care to admit.
Yeah.
Even more than you, Chrissy.
We can pass BuzzFeed quizzes about what we remember about these movies. It's a dangerous level of times we've seen this movie.
Yeah. So knowing the ridiculous that was coming your way, I was so excited about it.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it up this week for Popcorn for Dinner. I want to thank our special guest, Chrissy, once again for joining us.
Yes.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you for sharing in this fucking movie.
Anytime you watch Eclipse, New Moon, Breaking Dawn, parts 1 and 2, let me know.
Oh, God.
I'll be there.
Oh, man. We will see. Well, this is Jeff.
And Kelly.
And Chrissy.
Hold on tight, Spider Monkey.